There is no question that we live in a world of shifting sands. Socially, politically, culturally, and technologically, things are changing so often in such unpredictable ways that many of us feel exhausted by trying to keep up and fall into the trap of turning a blind eye towards the chaos of it all. And in this way, we may end up missing important developments that may turn our own personal, comfortable worlds upside down. When your life is in a stable routine, one might say in a rut, it can be easy to fool yourself into thinking that everything is in a state of equilibrium, that little, if anything, will change in a way that will affect you personally. This could be pessimism or optimism, depending on your perspective, but either way, it is delusional. The fact is, there is a small percentage of people who seem bent on instigating change simply for change's sake. Some of these instigators are poor, and maybe that's their main motivation. They want to destroy the system which they think has wronged them and made them broke and unhappy. But other instigators are wealthy and have strategies which they use in order to make even more money whenever the social and economic order of a country is thrown into upheaval. The phrase, "war is good for business," is really just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to how elites literally capitalize on chaos. Of course, these two groups are rather small relative to the rest of us folks who generally prefer peace and stability, but several factors have made these progressive agitators disproportionately powerful, including a mainstream media desperate for readers and viewers. Promoting the progressives' narratives leads to more tension within a society, and that kind of conflict is good for ratings, clicks, views, and sales. Likewise, many politicians pander to those progressives and their contentious narratives. These politicians are delusional and out of touch with normal people who just want peace, stability, and prosperity. They take cues from the left-leaning mainstream media and regurgitate social justice gobbledygook in the form of rhetoric and even by introducing incoherent new policies.
What do you and your family do to cut back on plastics?
We have recently switched to drinking water bottles out of water out of when we have water bottles out of a plastic. Away from plastic towards paper, like drink box water bottles, sort of things.
But the worst enabler of progressive agents of chaos are the average people who, as I mentioned at the start of this video, turned a blind eye to all of this, or even pretend to be on board with it. I can just hear the asinine conversations around the workplaces from coast to coast this week. Well, good. Ban plastic straws. I don't care. I don't use them anyhow, and it's good for the environment. See, when a large percentage of the population either ignores the real implications of change for change's sake, disruption and instability, things slide out of control. Socially and economically, things absolutely are already out of control in places like Canada, Germany, the UK, just to name a few. And yet still, these oblivious lemmings will actually laugh when you try to show them facts and statistics which should actually terrify them. There are far too many people living in their cozy bullshit bubbles, thereby allowing that minority of progressive instigators to seize more and more power, wealth, and social credibility. Well, one day everyone's bubble bursts. Whether it's when you suddenly realize you are working your ass off 60 hours a week and you can't afford to pay your bills, or it's when a robot steals your job. There are infinite possible scenarios, but one thing is for certain: if you don't make an effort to pay attention to and think seriously about the implications of the changes happening in our world, you're going to end up blindsided at some point. So what's the solution? Here are 4 things you absolutely must do if you want to avoid catastrophe in the face of change. Number 1. Stop taking anything that any politician or mainstream media news outlet says at face value. Realize that they are using progressive policies, hyper-liberal talking points, and progressive narratives in order to win votes, clicks, views, readers, and listeners. Heck, even big corporations are getting in on this scheme. Number 2. Start using alternative media sources for your information, such as this channel and related channels, to help you get a grasp on what's actually happening. Not the version of events presented by left-leaning politicians, media, corporations, and academics, but that's a story for another day. Number 3. Don't confuse progressivism for progress. Understand that change is not always an improvement. As mentioned in my previous video entitled The Gig Economy, Artificial Intelligence, and Human Spirit, advancement in technology are leading to fewer jobs. and yet ultimately this might be a good thing. Obviously, this is a very different change than, say, elementary school children taking hormone therapy in order to prevent themselves from going through puberty, thereby permanently damaging their bodies. It may seem obvious, but this point isn't said enough. We must be critical about what changes we accept. Number 4. Once you are sure that you're doing all of the above, here's the hard part and the most important thing. Be critical of what changes those around you accept, assertively and vocally. Call others out when they accept progressivism, when they go along with what leftist politicians and the corporate mainstream media tell them. You must take an active role in forcing them to think critically. For those of you who don't know how to do this, where to begin, what to say, you can check out my other videos for ideas. If you're kind of new to YouTube, please subscribe to me. It's absolutely free. Just click that subscribe button below, and be sure to hit the bell icon if you want to know whenever I post a new video. And so, if you like what I do, please check out my PayPal and Patreon linked in the description below and on the screen right about now. Even $1 or $2 a month is a big help. It's also free to like, share, and comment. That's really a big help too. Thanks for clicking and watching. We'll talk again real soon. Bye-bye.